subtract polynomials. So the first thing we're going to do is distribute the negative sign. And then we're going to combine like terms. So there's just one extra step from the last one. Example 1, we're going to simplify this following expression. So in parentheses, we have 2x squared minus 8x plus 7 minus, in parentheses, x squared plus 10x minus 3. First thing we're going to do is take this negative sign and distribute it. Right, we're going to think of it as -1 and go ahead and multiply it by each term. So let's go ahead and first write the first part out as is, because there's no negative out in front of that one. Then we're going to actually change this now to plus, because we're going to go ahead and go -1 times each term. So we'll take care of that minus sign by going ahead and multiply it. So we have -1 times x squared. Well, that just becomes -x squared. Then we have plus, we have 10x times this -1. So we have -10x. Then we have this minus sign times -1, right? So minus 3 times -1, which would be then plus 3, right? The two negative signs make it positive. So we only have 2 of them are negative inside of that second parentheses. So now let's go ahead and now find like terms. So we have a 2x squared. So let's go ahead and find another one. Well, if we look, it's not until the second parentheses where we have a -x squared. So we're going to add those two together. So let's go ahead and rewrite that. Then we have this minus 8x. We also have a plus -10x. So let's go ahead and add those together. So we have -8x. Always remember that negative sign out in front, right? We can just go ahead and make it a -8x plus -10x. Then we just have the numbers to add. So plus 7 plus 3. So now let's go ahead and solve. We have 2x squared minus, right, 1x squared. So that's just 1x squared. Plus, we have -8x plus -10x. Well, that's just becoming more negative, so we can just go ahead and add 8 plus 10. Keep the negative sign, so that's -18x. Plus 7 plus 3, so that's 10. We'll just leave it outside the parentheses. With no parentheses for that. So, what are we left with? Right? So we have 1x squared plus -18x plus 10. Right? And something that is completely equal, you can also write in wall map, is this. So rather than putting this plus sign, we can just make this minus 18x. It's the same thing, right, as we said in the last video, and then plus 10. So either of these can be written, or you can put the 1 in front of this x squared and then submit it like that in wall map. Now let's go ahead and look at the last example. So example 2, we're going to simplify the following expression. So like the last one, right, we have a negative. And we're going to go ahead and distribute that first, right, and each term inside. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to rewrite this real quick. So we have plus, and then this negative, right, we can say it's -1. -1 times -2y. Well, then that would be positive 2y. -1 times -7 would be plus 7, right? The two negatives make it positive. And then we have -1 times 4x, so that would become -4x. Or we can go plus -4x, or -4x as we can call it too. So now let's go ahead and find the like terms. So here we have an x. We don't have any more x's in the first parentheses, but right here we have an x. We can add those together. So that becomes x minus 4x. So know that the sign right here before the number, right, if it's plus or minus, what comes with that number, right? Now let's go ahead Now we have a y. So we have this, don't forget this minus sign. So we can go negative 7y. And then we have also a 2y. So let's go ahead and add those together. And then we have two numbers. So we have 5 and we have 7. So let's go ahead and add 5 plus 7. Put those in parentheses, right? Because this is positive, so we don't need to go positive 5, right? It's just understood as positive. Now let's go ahead and start to actually combine the like terms now. So we have, right, this could be 1x minus 4x. Well, that becomes negative 3x. We have negative 7y plus 2y. So we're just adding the numbers, we're keeping the variable. So that's negative 5. So minus 7 plus 2, negative 5. And we keep the y. Plus 5 plus 7, so that's 12. So we can just rewrite this as minus 3x minus 5y plus 12, right? So we could write it like this. We could write it like this. We can even go ahead and write it like this. And all of that would be correct, right? All these different ways to write it.